Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. We're so glad that you're here today. On the show today, we have some pretty cool stuff we're going to be talking about. Acts of kindness and opportunities to help others. Yeah, I like that. That sounds good. Power in our words, one of my favorite subjects.
Yes.
How what we say impacts our relationships, really, and our lives. And then one of Joyce's favorite healthy treats.
I love my treats.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I like it too. So pretty cool. We have a squirrel in our tree today outside the studio. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's usually our entertainment for the day outside of our window.
Sorry, we can't give you any attention today. But I think we're going to kick it off and let you start off with the acts of kindness and opportunity to help others. I'm kind of excited to hear about this.
You have no idea what I'm going to say, do you?
That's what I'm excited about.
I kind of have an idea. This is something that I continually find myself working on, is just looking for those opportunities just to do not huge things all the time, just even little things, just to make people feel good or just to do something nice for someone.
You're good at that. I mean, I'm always the kind of person who likes to tell everybody what's going on with me, and then I'll eventually get around to asking them about them.
Yeah.
And, and then I'll make it like about both of us, but you'll immediately say, oh, so what's going on in your life? How was your weekend? What do you got planned this weekend? What's going on later?
Well, that's just our personality.
No. But I'm saying it's very smart, though. I like it. I mean, I need to do more of that at the beginning. I know that's not exactly what you're talking about, but part of it is that you're really good at that.
Yeah. So just, really looking for those opportunities where you can help others, even just by saying like something nice to make them smile or make their day. And one opportunity that stands out that I wanted to talk about is I was in the grocery store in the checkout line, and there was this older gentleman. Gosh, he was probably in his 80s behind me. And it was a day, the grocery store was busy. I think it was like Super Bowl Sunday or something. Like there was something going on.
Which is the fifth biggest holiday now, right?
Yeah. So I was there buying snacks and stuff for the game. And I had noticed that he just had like one frozen dinner, in his hand. And he was in his pocket getting change. So he was paying for this frozen dinner with change. And I just felt bad. And so I looked at him and I said, oh, can I buy your dinner for you tonight? Because I wanted to
remember the story, yeah.
Because he was paying with change, Right. And so he's like, oh, no. So I left it at that. And right when I got in the car, I was thinking about this, and I don't know, I had this bad feeling like I could have done something more, like I should have just paid for it and not asked,
Well, and we talked about that.
I know.
And you said, what would you do?
I came home and I talked, it was bugging me so much when I came home. I talked to Todd. I'm like, what could I have done?
And my advice was what we've done often. Sometimes you just pay for it. You don't ask, because
hey, put that on my tab.
Right, because it's embarrassing. Like no one wants to admit that they need help, and so that's why one of the favorite things that we like to do is when we go to Costco. I've done this a few times where people that go to Costco, most people that go to Costco, for instance, they're buying necessities and they're buying all this extra stuff, right? But there's a certain amount of people that are really going there because they're buying their necessities only.
The paper towels, the toilet paper, the cleaning
eggs,
supplies.
And they're only buying that. There's no frills or no extra stuff there, and they're on a budget. And they're being very cautious, but they're trying to save money at the same time. And a couple of times we've actually I walked up and just swiped my credit card and paid for it. And they freak out in a good way, and we say, "Hey, we just wanted to bless you. God bless you.
Awesome.
Have a good time."
Yeah.
And so we talked about how could you're like, I could never just go swipe a credit card like that. So what we do is now we carry little gift cards, little $50 gift cards from Costco. And when we're walking around and we see a family it doesn't have to be a family, but a lot of times it is a family that they're just having the bread and the eggs and the milk and those type of things, and we feel like they could use some help. We just give them a card and say, we want to bless you with this. And so, I think that's a good way to, an act of kindness. And it's funny, we were at our life group through church, we were talking about this, and people were like, well, maybe we need to go to Costco and look for you guys. Maybe you have to do that for us. We're like, no, not exactly.
I mean, we love it when people do kind things for us too. So it doesn't matter. Everyone just likes kind gestures and just, even if it's like, the nice shirts or your hair looks nice today, or just smile at someone,
Right.
and
Well, I think, that's something that, since we're talking about relationships with the Novak, on with the Novaks with the S. Sorry, I didn't just mean on with the Novak me.
Oh,
but,
no, it's just not all about you, Todd.
No, I know it's not all about me. We talked about that earlier, right? But it's just really, there's just so many ways that you could talk about relationships. But I know with you and I always try to say, I say I love you.
You
and
do. Every day.
But I don't say it just once or twice or 3 times. I like to say it like 8 times or 10 times, or I mean,
you overflow me with love.
I do, but I'll be like, hey baby, or hey Joyce, and you'll be like, what? I love you, and you'll be like, oh, thank you. So, I mean, it's like a habit for me to do that. But I don't know. I was raised by my mom and 3 sisters, and I was taught that you can't ever tell women enough how much you love them.
Yeah.
And you can't treat them with enough kindness and niceness. So.
And it's appreciated too. It really is.
But I think we need to do that more in relationships, both ways. Where a wife can, or can say, "Hey, look, you look great today," or there's something about, getting ready to go to work. If you work outside your home, which most people do, and having your spouse tell you, you look sharp. You're gonna have a great day today.
Yeah,
or give you a little kiss, or praise with you, or whatever, or says something over you before you go in a positive way.
Speaking of that, I don't mean to cut you off, but speaking of that, that my parents, my dad, my mom stayed home and she raised 5 kids, and every morning when my dad went to work, he always gave my mom a kiss goodbye. And that's something that I've always remembered.
And we have a rule: we're not allowed to leave the house by ourselves and give a kiss to each other, because God forbid something does happen, and your last interaction with that person was an argument, or you didn't tell them something, and you'd regret that your entire life.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of heavy, but it's just one of those quick little checks that you go, you know what? Life's too precious. I want to appreciate life, and I want to appreciate the relationship and the person I'm with, and I'm going to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And I think there's something else that we do in the car. It's kind of funny.
It is. And I was just thinking about that. When we're in the car together, when we get out, we always give each other a little kiss when we get out of the car. And Todd and I have both caught ourselves doing this. If someone else is in the car with us, like we'll just automatically go over like, oh, wait, go for that kiss.
I know I had a guy,
one of my in the car with us.
I had one of a guy friend of mine, and I went to do that. I was like, whoa, I gotta stop myself. That's not my wife.
But that's a good habit to have, it really is.
Exactly. So I'm not gonna, complain about that.
We've never actually really kissed, we've kind of,
well, we've kissed, but never someone else.
In the car or whatever.
Right. So. But again, you have habits, and they're either good or bad. That happens to be a good habit that we like. And it's just so important to be nice to each other. I mean, I think the closer we are with somebody, the more mean we are to them, and the more
say mean things.
Yeah,
and why do we feel comfortable enough to say mean?
But we'll meet a stranger or a friend, and we won't say anything ever mean to them.
Exactly.
But
except
our loved ones
behind their back, maybe.
Oh, of course, yeah. I used to have a mentor of mine when he was teaching us sales. He would, we'd go in and do a presentation, and he'd say, all right, so we're going to go ahead and leave so you can talk about us now.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what people do. They talk about you when you leave. Exactly. And so, but the question is, what are they talking about? You hear that old saying, man, if I could have been a fly on the wall, in that meeting or that exchange. And
they probably wouldn't have wanted to really be a fly on the wall.
No, and think about this. I've said this, thank goodness that God didn't make us to read people's minds. Can you imagine that if you could read
That'd be horrible, actually.
everyone's mind, what they were thinking of you?
You'd have to really control your thoughts.
Oh my gosh. I think there wouldn't be a lot of friends, and it wouldn't be much interaction. But the bottom line is, we got to be, I think that kind of leads into being careful with your thoughts. I know we were going to talk about the power in our words. Yeah. And this is something that's very passionate about me. And so, you do something, and people always talk about, did you just do that? How did that happen, right? And so there's something that I learned years ago called thoughts, words, and actions. And so somebody doesn't do something, without saying it first. And then they don't say something unless they've thought about it first. So thoughts, you have to think about it. And you think about it, then you start to say it, and you say it over and over again. And maybe you talk it over with somebody. And then unfortunately, good or bad, the third thing is action. And so a lot of times it's, they talk about premeditated murder or not premeditated. For the most part, it's all premeditated, because someone's thought about it. It's not just in the spirit of the moment. So, you can think about your life. If you don't like what you have in your life, you have to watch your words.
Exactly.
And so, because you have to have different thoughts. So it all starts with the head. The battlefield is in the mind. Okay. When I work with salespeople, I try to get into their heads. What's holding them back from not calling that person? What's holding them back from asking for that sale? And, it can be tough because they take a lot of hits. They take a lot of arrows. Yeah, a lot of rejection, a lot of negativity. And so they have to be very careful of their thoughts. They have to learn to control their thoughts and be mentally tough. Look at a guy like Tiger Woods. Everybody said, oh, Tiger Woods won't be back. I mean, come on. The guy's beat up his body. He's been out of golf for so long. And here he was, competing for a major, last week and almost won. And I told all my friends, in fact, I have some ongoing bets with them, that I said, Tiger Woods will be back.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know the level that maybe he was winning majors all the time, but he'll be back, because a guy that's so mentally tough as he is, and physically, if he has the physical ability and not anymore or still does, mental toughness will take you a lot further than your physical ability. So, I mean, that's kind of my thing with, power in our words. It's all about being mentally tough, and some of our listeners are going to like what I'm going to say. Others, will agree with me, but you're like, what are you going to say? But you know what? I'm one of those guys that don't cuss.
Yeah.
I just don't cuss. My mom said, hey, if you cuss.
Which I think is a great thing.
Right. But she said, if you cuss, it's because you're not very intelligent.
Yeah.
You couldn't think of a more intelligent word to use. And so I was raised that way. So I just don't cuss.
But I think if you hang around people, you cuss.
Well, you can. You can. I don't. But I'm saying. But
before I met you, I said a few cuss words here and there, and now I don't. And if I do, it's just out of spur of the moment, like
even if you hurt yourself, you used to cuss.
Yeah.
You bang your toe or whatever, and you don't do that anymore. Now you'll say something else. And so I think it's so important to control our words. But in order to control your words, you got to control your mind. And that's where I'm back to. You have to be mentally tough. You're mentally tough, you can get through anything.
Yeah. And something that I heard that's kind of interesting is we focus so much on what we're putting in our mouth. If we could just focus that much on what comes out of our mouth. Wow,
that's good. Yeah. We're so concerned about eating 3 times a day. If we were concerned about,
or even like eating healthy. Well, think
about what you just said. You said going into our mouths. Well, going into our brains is what we're reading.
What's coming
what we're
out.
Listening.
Yeah.
Well, no, but first of all, it's got to come in. So what we're reading, what we're listening to, what we're watching and based on that, and who we associate with, then it comes out. So it's whatever's coming in. So you have what we call ear gates and eye gates. So you use your ear gates, your eye gates to receive or hear things. And based on that determines what comes out.
I truly believe that.
So you really have to watch what you listen to and who you hang out with, because you will become, it's the old saying, who you hang out with, the books you read and, audio programs you listen to, you will become in 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I mean, we have mannerisms, you and I. Let me speak for me. I have mannerisms I've never had till I met you.
That is so true. That is so true. And we spend so much time together. And sometimes I see you doing things that I do, or say things that I do that I don't like. So I'm like, Joyce, that should be like a big red flag to you to stop doing that.
Monkey in the mirror, whatever you do.
Exactly. You know that it doesn't sound good. It doesn't look good. And when you see somebody else doing it, because you're doing it so much that it's rubbing off, it's a real eye opener.
I'll tell you something I read recently, and I had to agree with it, but it's pretty cool. So they say, you hear the 5 people you hang out with, you'll become in 5 years. They also say if you take the 5 people you hang the most out with, most time with, and you write down their annual income, and then you divide that by 5, that will be your annual income or close to it. So again, association, right? Yeah. So, hey, look, if you're not wealthy or your business isn't really successful, guess what? You better hang out with more successful business people. Let's say you're in a relationship that's not very good. Well, do you hang out with people that are in a bad relationship so that you feel good about your relationship? Or do you go find people that have great relationships and hang out with them?
Yeah, kind of learn what's working. Yeah, the great relationships.
Yeah, of course. You go find the ones that are doing better than you. You hang out with them. You learn from them, and then you become better yourselves.
Well, it's always good hanging out with smarter people too.
Correct. You know the old saying: if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's true. I believe that. Yeah. Sometimes it's nice being the smartest one in the room.
Well, but, coming from the owl that likes to be smart and be right all the time, but. I agree with that. So so the power, think about some of the stupid sayings, and I've told you, and I've threatened to do this. I'm going to do it when they say,
you will.
I'm going to write a book about the stupid things, or why did we say that, or why do you say that? Because most people say things, they have no clue why they're even saying it. So let me just give you an idea, like something like, I'm dying to eat that, or I'm dying to meet that person. Really? You're dying, right? You're dying to meet them? Well, guess what? If you die, you're not going to meet them. And if you're dying to eat that chocolate cake, guess what? You're going to die and you're not going to eat the chocolate cake. So that's just one of those just stupid sayings. How about this one? We were talking about this in the other day in the car when we were driving. When we were kids, we would say, okay, pinky promise. And then we say, I cross my heart and I hope to die. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Why would you want to say you cross your heart and you hope to die?
I don't get that one.
Like, what the heck is that all about? And so if you think about sayings like that, catch yourself. Why am I saying this? Why am I cussing? Why am I responding this way? Why am I saying this? Why am I feeling this way? And just learn to check yourself and really self-gauge yourself and analyze, self-reflect. Analyze is a good word. Just analyze what you're saying and say, do I want more of this in my life? Do I want to, if I had kids, would I want them to be like this? If I have a spouse, do I want my spouse to be this way?
Maybe you need to start associating with different people, reading, different material, watching different stuff on TV.
Right. So again, watch your words. I mean, so thoughts, words, and actions. Think about that. Whatever, if something's coming out that you don't like, if you're doing an action that you don't like, trace it back to what thoughts did you have, right? And then, what were you speaking? Again, what were you speaking? What thoughts you were having? Stop the speaking of it, change the thoughts, and then you'll change the action.
Yeah, just the power of words. Very powerful.
Hey, I mean, look at podcasts. Oh my gosh, like podcasts are like taking off, like they're the hottest thing.
We love
for
listening
years.
to podcasts when we're in the car on a 15-minute trip or road trip.
15-minute trip.
15-minute trip.
That's a very short podcast.
I mean, if we're just going, down the street, it's not worth turning on the podcast or whatever.
But if we're like 30 minutes or longer driving, we always pop on a podcast.
It's great. I
mean, one of our favorites is how we built, or how did you build that? How you built that?
How I built this.
Yeah, how you built this, right? By NPR. NPR, great show. I mean, it's about business owners, entrepreneurs, how they built their business and the struggles they went through, and now they're multi-million-dollar businesses, and they either sold them or they're continuing to grow them. So
it's fun hearing the stories. It just gives you inspiration, and it's.
Speaking of that, I think you wanted to talk about your favorite treat.
I just thought we'd end this on a fun note today, with one of my healthy treats these days that I actually kind of crave a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes a little too much.
I know, right? Who doesn't love ice cream? I grew up that was like one of my favorite treats. But, the past few years, I really haven't been eating that much dairy. So I wasn't eating ice cream. So for a treat like that, I went for frozen yogurt. Well,
Californians don't eat dairy that much.
Yeah, that's true.
They're either vegan or vegetarian, and then on and on and on.
And some people can't eat dairy.
And some people can't eat dairy. Right.
So frozen yogurt, but then all the additives and sugar and frozen yogurt, I just really wasn't eating that much. And then we discovered this place called Press Juicery.
Why do you get all excited when we start talking about this?
I don't know. It's exciting. Press Juicery, and they have a frozen treat. It's called a freeze. And I'm going to kind of grab my notes here. It's dairy-free,
right?
No processed sugar, plant-based, and vegan. And you're probably thinking,
sounds
how
awful,
in the world?
Right?
No, it tastes so good.
No, I know.
Because it's made with simple ingredients, like their chocolate freeze is made with 5 ingredients: filtered water, dates, almonds, cacao powder, and sea salt.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're eating something that has 5 ingredients or 10 ingredients or less, that's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of our key. If something has 10 or less ingredients, it's going to be good, because there's not going to be any artificial colors artificial stuff in it.
And the toppings are just fresh fruit. You have blueberries and strawberries.
Well,
almonds.
there is some additional sugar that you put on it.
Yeah, what sugar?
You put the sauce on it.
Oh,
the cacao
the
sauce.
cacao chocolate.
Chocolate sauce.
That's filled with antioxidants. That's good.
Hey, don't
stuff.
elbow me. I mean, like, really? But it's still sugar, though. I mean,
it's sugar.
I mean, I eat these cacao chips, and they're
mm-hmm.
like, you know, they're 100% chocolate, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're still really sweet.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're still
I even
sugar.
feel it in my teeth. And we get a little buzz from it. I mean, sugar buzz.
But they do a comparison. I think it's with Pinkberry with their chocolate yogurt versus the chocolate freeze. The chocolate freeze has 5 ingredients, and then the Pinkberry has 23.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't even know what they were, mystery ingredients. I didn't even know what some of the ingredients were, and I couldn't pronounce them. And I'm like, this is not good.
Well, all we can tell you is Press Juicery
mm-hmm.
is going nuts out here in California.
And I feel kind of bad for the people that don't live in Southern California.
Yeah, so we apologize.
I think they're basically in Southern, Northern
what do you
California.
Do in Midwest and the East Coast?
I hope they expand, because there are a few on the East Coast. I think there's one in Boston, one in New York, and hopefully they do expand across the U.S., because I'd love for everyone to experience my.
Yeah, and they're pretty reasonable. I think you can join their membership, and it's $5 for, you know, you can get 2 scoops and fill it all up. It's called the number 2, and then they only have like 6 or 7 ingredients, like mm-hmm. chocolate, strawberry, coconut,
mm-hmm.
mango, and what's the matash or
I don't know.
It's like it's like a green tea kind of thing. But anyways, hey, everybody has treats. You got to have treats, right?
Oh yes, I have a sweet tooth, so I love my treats, but I try and keep it healthy.
Got to keep it healthy.
And the freeze is definitely healthy, so just wanted to share that.
Yeah, and so
let's go have a freeze.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, man, it's you know, it's about that time. We could go have a freeze. We can have one before dinner.
Oh, of course.
All right. Let's tell everybody goodbye and sign off and have a freeze. So again, this was On with the Novaks. We really appreciate you guys being with us.
For joining us.
We're having a good time. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this, and you know, shoot us an email if you could, on with the Novaks with an S @gmail.com. So again, that's on with the Novaks @gmail.com. You know, let us know what you like. Let us know what you'd like to hear us talk about.
If you have any questions.
Yeah, but we want to know what you like. We want to know, you know, do you like the banter back and forth? Do you like the health tips? Do you like the, you know, when we talk about business, we talk about personal relationships, whatever. We just, you know, we're here for you guys to have a good time, and you know, if we get feedback, we know what to do and what not to do, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Make it happen.
On with the Novaks.